you have ever like really been up late at night trying to figure out, does this person like me? Do I really like them?
Right.
Are they going to text me back? Want to actually heal. Come on, we got a bunch of me's. Come on, Indie bruh. Come on, Tisha.
Yeah.
And so a lot of us don't realize that these relationships are taking up headspace. Yeah, Kyle, it makes you think too much. A lot of us don't understand that these relationships affect our health.
They do.
And so we want to gather skills so that when God sends his best for us, we can actually keep it. Somebody put keep in the chat.
Woo! That's very
keep.
true.
Somebody just put keep right there.
Keep.
Not just get it. You want to keep it. Come
Yes.
on, Jazz. Come on, Jordan. If you believe it, just type keep. All right? So we have, now you guys already know I'm a foreign, so I can't be calling my elders by their first name.
Yes, you can.
We already talked about this.
I want to publicly say they gave me permission.
That's right. That's right. Call us Auntie and Uncle Gil. Auntie Renee and Uncle Gil. There you go.
Well, everybody really call her TT.
They call me TT.
So.
My niece and nephew call me TT.
Awesome. Well, we are really thankful to have you all. So I want to start with the first question. How did you all meet, and what was the decision that let you know it's okay for us to get married?
Oh, wow. We always tell this story. First, we want to say thank you for letting us come and hang out with you guys.
Thank you.
You know, I almost feel like I should have a nickname. I'm hearing all these awesome nicknames. I got to get me a handle or something. Because I'm feeling a little out.
Unky Gil.
I'm feeling a little. Don't tell him my nickname. No, so
he has a new.
No. We're gonna keep it moving. So actually, it's funny that you asked that question because our relationship started out with a pencil. See, that's a pause, and now everybody's going like, "What? You want to start?"
And a job.
Yeah.
Before we met each other, we had a job. We were gainfully employed.
At 13 and 14.
Yeah, 14. Yeah, 14, 15. We were 14, 15. I was 14, he was 15. And we had a summer job in Detroit.
That's where we're originally from.
We're from Detroit. Shout out to Detroit. Detroit in the house. And I saw him walk into a classroom. And when I saw him, I was like, oh, he had a mustache at 15. And I was like, oh, he is so fine.
Did you hear that?
That's an old school word. That's an old school word. So
I was like, how do I get his attention? So from the time he walked through the door to me, I said, oh, I'm going to roll my pencil off the desk. So I rolled my pencil off the desk.
And when she did that, I stopped and picked it up, just because it's like, just being courteous and everything.
And I said, I was going to say hi to you, but I wasn't sure if you would say hi back.
And I said, I always say hi to lovely young ladies.
15.
I don't know if that was game, but I didn't have none. I don't know. I was just being polite.
PT did. She set up the pencil trap.
That's right. Back in the day, it used to be a handkerchief. I'm from Detroit. It was a pencil.
And it's funny that you say it because we were kind of talking beforehand. That is something that you don't see too often. Well, maybe you do and don't. And y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, where she took the initiative. Sometimes guys don't think about, they may see somebody. Us guys, sometimes we're oblivious. I have to be honest, guys. Don't hate me too much because sometimes we just don't get it. We're a little bit slow sometimes. But I noticed her inside the class, but she took the initiative to make that introduction. She wasn't living
presented.
Yeah, she presented an opportunity, probably is a better way of saying that. But you have to capitalize on opportunities that present themselves to you. You can't hold back. You can't be fearful. You can't be scared. Don't stay on the porch. If you see something that you want, you got to go for it,
Shoot your shot.
Yeah. Uh-oh, I see the finger. Uh-oh.
Somebody said Ruth and Boaz. Come on. Set that trap.
Hercules. No.
She laid at his feet. Yep, Ruth presented the opportunity. Kyle said, okay. Yes. So when we think about, I'd love to hear this. So what did we all hear? Come on, Jackie. Yes, she said hello to the beautiful couple. When we think about marriage preparation, come on, Carla. Oftentimes we think of, he that findeth the wife findeth the good thing, right?
Good thing.
And then we hear about, presenting yourself, positioning yourself. Mm-hmm. Can you talk to me about your thought process? Did it ever occur to you like, oh, I don't want to seem thirsty, I don't want to seem desperate, so And then for you, Gil, if you could talk about like your thought process, how did you know that was an opportunity instead of you just being a
Right,
gentleman to
right. Go ahead, babe.
somebody?
I was 15. No, I was 14. So no, that narrative was not a part of the culture I grew up in.
Yeah.
It's a different, we didn't have all these examples of what women should do and should. I just knew that it was something inside me. It's like, just get his attention. I mean, because I don't believe that I could have made him do anything, but I could at least let him know, hey, I think you're cute, without saying that. So I
Mm-hmm.
think there's a way that you can do anything. I was a lot more back then aggressive. I was not assertive. I was aggressive. And so I realized that even in the years we've been together, our personalities are just different.
Right.
And so I always tease him. I always tell him, say, you could have missed out on your good thing if I would have just left you to yourself. Could have missed out.
Wow. Wow. Did you hear that? Carl said, I like aggressive.
No, aggression is bad. No, aggressive is a result of scarcity, and we're not animals. So there's abundance in the life of a believer. So you should only be assertive and never aggressive.
Ooh, can we say that? Assertive is from abundance. Aggressive is from scarcity. Everybody put that in the chat. Everybody put that in the chat. Why? When you type it in the chat, that's muscle memory, and we're here to renew our minds.
Absolutely.
Type it in the chat. Wow. So assertive. I find it very interesting because I myself, I think a lot of people think that I'm that willing and outgoing, but I have a love story in my mind where I want my husband to pursue me. Like, saw her, I went after her. And so I'm one of those girls, comment below if you're like this, that you're like, I would want to throw a pencil. I may even throw the sharpener at him. I may even throw the desk at him.
Right.
But I don't want to hurt him, and I don't want him to think I'm thirsty.
Yeah.
So what would you say to somebody who's like, oh, there's an opportunity to show I'm interested, but I'm nervous? What would you say to that?
I think a part of it goes back to reframing what it means. It says that he that finds a wife, you have to position yourself for the light to be on.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of restaurants. If you drive past a restaurant and the lights are off, you don't think it's open for service. And sometimes I think as women, our lights are off. And so men don't know how to approach us.
Let's pause right there. Pause right there. Let's pump these brakes right there. Did you hear that? Sometimes it looks like your lights are off. Now I got to go deeper. Hold on. Because sometimes my lights have been off and men still pursued. So that didn't stop it.
Right.
What would you say?
Well, I think there's a difference between aggressive and being assertive. An assertive man will respect your boundary.
Mm-hmm.
An aggressive man is going to push up on you even if your lights are off. And you don't want someone that's aggressive. If you're not giving the I'm available or I'm interested, then someone who will push past that will push past other boundaries later. So that's a red flag. If my lights are off, then you should know that that's a no.
Selena sent 5 roses. Natalie joined. Classic said that part. Jackie said assertive from abundance, aggressive from scarcity. You're helping people.
Amen.
Classic said in the room. So we have a question. Kyle says, how about when there are so many people around them? Okay, so maybe can you speak to the men about when you see a woman who's an opportunity, but there's a lot of people around them, how would you pursue that?
I think first, because Renee is so attractive, that still even happens to this day. Not that we're ever to a point to where we're apart in a room or something like that and people are pushing up on her, not like that. But I think when you see something that gets your eye, that catches your eye, there's nothing wrong with making yourself or your presence known. I think it goes back to, how do you see yourself as an individual? Unfortunately, because I only can speak from a black man's perspective, we have had so many challenging times that we go into things or into relationships with already ideas in our head about how something is going to turn out before it even happens. So sometimes you'll see, say, a bunch of guys around this one person. I would think you have to look at, is this something that I'm interested in, or am I just interested because others are surrounding it? You have to look at what is it that you're looking for. A part of it is going back to knowing your own value, knowing what you're looking for. What are you trying to pursue? Obviously, when you first see something that is attractive, you're going to get the eye visuals. Man, we're more visual than anything in the very beginning, but you have to know what you're looking for once you get past that first layer. So I think that's something that most guys sometimes they take for granted, and sometimes even guys don't think about themselves in a proper light. You're just as valuable as who they are.
Let's talk about that light. So here's what not to do, Kyle. I remember I was in like 11th grade and there was a group of us in the mall, and this older guy came up to us and spoke to one of my friends and said, "Excuse me, young lady, my little nephew want to talk to you. You the finest one out of all your friends." And then all of us were like, "Woo!"
Hold up.
So then we started roasting him.
Yep.
I said, "Sir, you have one tooth. You cannot come over here trying to pimp your little nephew out.
Right.
Get out of here." We were all so offended.
Yep.
We walked away from her, and the nephew wasn't cute. So then it was a double negative. So if you do see a woman around a crowd, I would recommend that you compliment all of them. Good evening. Hello.
Yes.
Is it okay if I talk to your friend in the red really quick? I think she's cute. Because then it feels like you're respecting the friend.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, oh, our friend. But dissing people, that's how you gonna get hurt. I see a couple laughs over here.
Yeah.
I see them laughing. But if you don't want to get embarrassed,
yep,
don't you start insulting people. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Come on, Nina.
Because
come on, Cyrus. Come on, Classic.
people gonna get defensive. People gonna get defensive right off the bat. Do you really want to start a relationship out in the negative?
Come on.
Before you even get started.
Yeah.
Not a way to start.
How can men, you said this earlier, how can men find their light? How can they know that they are valuable and keep that mindset so that when they see something or someone that they like, they won't self-sabotage? What does that look like?
I think first you have to know your own value. I think even before we came to Christ later in life. So when that happened, even as I was growing up, we all have experiences, good and bad, traumas, childhood of origin issues, and those types of things that happen in our life that we tend to already project what we think in our mind that we have been told over the years. And that actually can thwart or have a problem with how we see our future. So when you have that negativity already going into something, you have to do what we always tell our couples is taking that long journey inward. Once I gave my life to Christ, I started looking at, okay, I had to redirect and rethink. Just like Timothy said, I had to renew my mind to some of the things that have been playing, that tape recorder that has been playing in my head over the years of telling me the imposter syndrome, your anxiety, you're not good looking, all these different things that I tell myself. You almost do like self-sabotage, before you even get to the point to where you have to see yourself as valuable first. Sometimes we tend to think women are the only ones with self-esteem issues. That tends to be the first thing that we go to. No, we can clean it up and call it the imposter syndrome. If guys are like a little macho and that kind of thing, and they'll want to say, I ain't got no self-esteem issues. Well, sometimes you can suffer from the imposter syndrome where you think you're not good enough, or you think you have a lack, or you think you're not as you should be. Therefore, that's what I think from my own perspective, my own experiences. And then when you get with a woman who is there to encourage and to build you up, it's an exchange. That something is going to reinforce how you feel about yourself as well.
Yeah, I really like how you talked about this discrepancy of like thinking women are the only ones who have low self-esteem or self-esteem issues.
Yeah.
And we need more of these conversations to really affirm our men on how they see themselves, because this goes back to when we're preparing for marriage, how you talk to yourself matters.
It does.
Absolutely.
It does.
And that's that psychology of the narrative that was told to you as a child, whether you were unattractive, whether you had a big nose. All of these things affect what you will predict will happen. And what there's a great book called The Mountain Is You, and it talks about how you are the one who gets in your own way, and a lot of times sabotage because of psychic thinking. We're trying to predict what will happen, and we do that when we want to feel safe. If we feel like, okay, I know how this is going to go, a lot of us have to remember, especially a lot of the ladies, we have to remember these men, we don't know what seeds have been deposited into them over these
Absolutely.
years.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You don't know what word curses. You have no idea that you may think he's so fine, but he has been abused. He has been told he's worthless.
So I really didn't even get to that formative age of knowing what does courting look like, or what does relationships look like, what does friendship look like, because I didn't have that example in the house. Unfortunately, like a lot of us young black men, we didn't have that father figure growing up. So therefore we start getting these identities from what we see on television, or what we see in the streets, or what we hear in the barbershop. So we start, because you don't have anything formed, so you just start embracing these things that you think are going to be helpful for you when it comes to relationships. But when you said that, that's so important, that when you get with someone that you can be safe with, that you can be vulnerable with, that you can be open it, we always call it being hot, honest, open, and transparent with, you are putting yourself in a position to where you can have some of those gaps filled, or some of that deficiency there, we call them growth areas, filled or strengthened or empowered, however you want to call it, but it makes you get better as a man.
I want to acknowledge a lot of the vulnerability in the room. We have Indie Brush shared he lost his father at age 7.
Absolutely.
Kyle said his dad never taught him anything about women. And so this is where that empathy and curiosity comes from, is like not assuming that the guy you know knows how to talk to you, knows how to approach you.
Exactly.
The guy you want may not know. And unfortunately, when we don't have these male figures in our homes, we have the MTV, BET, NYC teaching us
The wrong things to do.
they're teaching us the wrong thing. So
Yeah.
I first want to just honor all the men who are being vulnerable. I
Yes.
see
Yes, absolutely.
Amen.
Kete, I see as well here on YouTube. So I just want to honor your vulnerability, because when you guys are, everybody, let's put in the chat, hot. What was hot? Honest, open, and transparent. Everybody put that in the chat. See, you're getting free therapy tonight. I don't want to hear talking off on nobody. What is hot? Honest, open, and transparent. That is what they shared. So when you can find someone you could be hot with, honest, open, and transparent, there's a level of safety that comes, and you can build that safety with empathy and curiosity. We have a question.
Sure.
Jack says she's been with her boyfriend since 16. She knows he wants to marry her, but she's having a hard time waiting. How can she make it easier on herself?
How old is she now?
Jackie, how old are you now?
She's been with him since she was 16.
How long have they been together?
Yeah, or like, yeah, Jackie, how long have you guys been together?
Why don't you elaborate on why that's important to know?
The reason why that's important to know is because sometimes we have clocks in our head that we've established that we've not communicated to the other person. And when she says she knows he wants to marry her, has he asked her? Is that her own creation in her mind, or is that something they have both discussed? And all of those are important, because one of the things I can say about Gil and I, we talked about marriage
before we were even
because
engaged.
Gil wanted to be married. Gil knew he wanted to be married. I didn't want to be married. I didn't want to have kids. I just wanted to be able to take care of myself. I had no desire to do any of that. And everybody kept saying, oh, you just heard, you're going to meet the right person. I'm like, look, I'm just trying to take care of myself. I'm just trying to be able to have my own place, my own car, be able to provide for myself. I'm trying to take care of myself. But Gil wanted to be married, so he always brought that conversation up. He always talked about, when we get married, we're going to do this, and when we get married, we're going to do that. So as a result of that, I wasn't planning, because women don't control the commitment. The man does.
Let's
I can see the marinade on that one.
Let's let that sizzle. Let's get the olive oil, the onions on the oven, and let that sizzle. Can you say that again, please?
Women don't control the commitment. The man controls the commitment. He has to initiate. Like, I can present myself to him, but I can't make him commit to me.
Just like rolling that pencil off the table. I
couldn't make him make a decision. All I could do was present myself, and it was up to him to make the final decision, because at the end of the day, if I make him commit to me, that's control and manipulation, and it won't be his choice. I want him to choose me, not that I'm making him or giving him an ultimatum. And so it never works when you try to make someone commit before it's time or before they're ready, because when they're ready, because marriage and love is a choice. I wanted to be his choice. I wanted him to choose me. So the reason why I asked the time is because it's important that you know that while you may have said it's going to happen, but I'm going to get, because we have all these dates, well, some women do. I'm going to be married by this time, I have a baby by this time, I'm going to do this by this, and the other person doesn't know anything about it. So that's why I asked those questions. How long have they been together? Has he proposed? Because again, sometimes the narrative that we created in our mind, it's our own imagination and not from communication.
That's powerful. I know some of you are uncomfortable. Yeah, that baby's not gonna keep him if he didn't choose to commit.
Oh
The
no.
man controls the commitment.
He
and
does.
This is where that self-love is. Want what wants you. And manipulation says, I know you don't want me, but I'm gonna make you.
No.
Witchcraft says, I know you don't want me, but I'm gonna make you.
Yeah.
We strip away what God originally gave us, which was free will.
Yes.
So when you are knowingly trying to make somebody do something, for those of you who always ask, how do I know if this is the person for me? If you're trying to make them the one, that's probably not it. Because you're taking away that free
It's will. You both decide, you both have that decided moment together. You both want each other, because there have been people who wanted me, I didn't want them. There have been people that wanted him, he didn't want them. So and I think even you kind of mentioned about the fear. One of the reasons why I'm never worried about is Gil going to cheat on me, is Gil going to leave me, because Gil chose me. I didn't make him choose me. He made a decision on himself, by himself, in his mind and in his heart. I want her.
And she said something that's so important that I think sometimes the guys we miss. Like she said about the commitment or even engaging with things. We'll talk about stuff all day long. But if you were to ask a guy, how do you feel about certain things? And like we talked about being hot, open, honest, open, and transparent, or even being vulnerable, that's when we're going to guard up. That's when we're going to close off. The more open he is to you, that tells you his level of commitment that he's already made to you. If he's not telling you the things, I'm not talking about just stuff, the superficials. If you're just talking about how fine you are all the time and y'all just always gravitating to the sex and stuff like that all the time, that gets old real quick. That gets old real quick. So you have to think about, what is it that you really want from the relationship, even from a guy's perspective. I like what they said. I thought about those things before I even committed to her.
Because what he was saying, women control intimacy and men control commitment. So we think that if we give them intimacy, it's going to make them commit. It doesn't work that way.
The physical intimacy.
And so the man has to be willing to commit before we give intimacy, because it doesn't, just like he can't make me be intimate, I can't make him commit. And so sometimes we give intimacy without a commitment, and then we're like, well, I gave you intimacy.
No.
You
had sex.
Yikes! Jackie, we see your response. We're coming up your mountain. Here we come. But I first want to extend compassion to all of the people realizing that a guy did not choose them.
And my heart goes out.
That a guy did not want you.
Yeah.
Right? Hearing you say that, and then some of the responses, it was like a gut punch. When you look back, and this is why I'm saying this, because what we don't want the spirit of rejection to
Oh no, we do not. We do not. We do not
want that for anybody. So for those of you, I'm sensing that this is what the healing is looking like. Healing is doesn't mean you're not gonna cry, but it's realizing that, wow, some of you took away his choice. Some of you went, the woman, you did the hunting. You went for what you thought was the easier prey, right? And then you wonder why it's been so difficult, and you're kind of realizing right now that he didn't choose you. And that's why there's difficulty with commitment. And we have to exercise that choice. So if you're thinking like that, I want to extend compassion to you, but I also give you permission to move forward. Come on to me.
Yes.
I give yourself permission. Come on, Carla. To move forward. Because come on, Miss Inspire, making an impact. Once we make a decision to say, like, I accept that person didn't choose me, I'm going to make myself available, Christiana, for the man who will choose me.
Exactly.
And time you give yourself permission to be chosen.
Yes.
You can present yourself, but you can give yourself permission to be chosen. Jackie responded. She was with the person for 16 years. Since she was 16. How old she is now? She's 28. They were together 8 years, broke up for 2. They gave their lives to Christ, and now they've been back together for 2 years. So what would you say to that? Her question was, how can she, while she's waiting, how can she make it easier on herself?
I want to go back to the rejection thing.
Yeah.
Rejection is protection. Rejection has nothing to do with your value. It has everything to do with preference. Some people like chocolate ice cream. Some people like vanilla. That means chocolate or vanilla, strawberry is bad. It's just not your choice. So I had to learn really early, well, actually later in life, the Lord showed me that when someone rejects you, they're just freeing you up for the person that is for you. So you're not wasting time and energy. So to me, I had to learn how to be resilient and you don't just experience rejection as when you're dating. It's throughout the rest of your life. You're going to experience it from employers and family members and just social media, period. So I had to learn rejection is protection. It's okay. I'm not your flavor, but there is someone that I am their flavor. And so I want to be available for the person. Like you said, you choose me, I choose you. I don't want to make myself be chosen. I want to be chosen. And so just take that in as far as, because I love what you said about having empathy and compassion, because it's important that you realize that sometimes we share your story and it triggers someone else. And it's not because of what you said, it's because of what they believe and what they heard. And so we got to change what we hear and change the way we see things. Is that this is my story. I'm sharing my testimony, and take from it and let God minister to your heart based on you, and not put a clock on yourself. Well, she got married at this age. We're all different, and God has a different time for all of us. It's not going to look the same.
Yep. Good.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, what kept coming to my mind, you're fearfully and wonderfully made. You're he that finds a wife finds a good thing. He's looking for you. You just have to believe that and make yourself available to see that.
Yeah. And so the process of what should she be doing in the process? Getting to know herself.
Come on.
What she likes, what she doesn't like, her growth areas, her strengths. She needs to know everything about herself and be okay with doing the things for herself that she wants someone else to do for her. Do you pay your bills on time? Do you take yourself out? Do you take care of yourself? Can you cook? Can you clean? Are you okay being alone? So many times we think that marriage is the answer to our problems, but really it could be more of a problem because it keeps you from focusing on you. Singleness is a gift that God gives us so we can develop and cultivate, and so that we present ourselves, we can be a gift and not a trap.
Did you hear that? Come on, Classic said, come on. Carla said, that's good. Jackie said, Jesus. Right. Sometimes we think marriage is the solution to the problem, but if we're not careful, it can be a trap. And so this is everything she shared is marriage preparation is getting to know yourself.
Absolutely.
The financial hygiene, being able to cook and clean, doing things on your own. And when we do it on our own, then we can bring something to the household.
Besides the fact that you're cute.
Yep, besides the fact that you're cute. Besides the fact that you're cute. Powerful. Come on, Ariel. We have another question. Jepet said, when did Mr. Beaver realize he had authorization from the Lord to continue to pursue Mrs. Beaver? What did it look like? The confirmation. Good question.
I think back to when we were dating. The entire time that we were dating, I said this before in another, Renee has always been light. And I'm not talking about weight-wise. She wasn't heavy from the very beginning because of past experiences. I'm not your past. I'm not that guy who hurt you. I'm not that bad experience. I'm somebody totally different. I tried to come at Renee from me, and when I came to her, I've sought the Lord about our relationship, even though, and this is the funny thing, I wasn't a Christian, but it's amazing how many non-Christians pray about certain things. I was
Right.
still asking God about certain things. And when Renee came through, when I say that she's light, she wasn't the type of girl that came through with issues from the very beginning. Always had an agenda about what we were trying to do, trying to direct, trying to manipulate, trying to control the narrative of our relationship. She allowed me to be who I was, and I allowed her to be who she was. So when we came together, I figured, you know what? This is somebody, and it didn't take long. This is somebody that I know I want to spend the rest of my life with, because she had the things. I knew what I was looking for. Do you know what you're looking for? If you don't know what you're looking for, then you're just window shopping. You're just going through the motions of thinking, because this guy has the six pack, or this guy has this or that, the job, the career, whatever. That is all the superficial stuff. But what are the things that really that you value, that matter to you? How are you compatible with? Don't compromise. And that's something that Renee was always, I think she was working on even before we came together as boyfriend, girlfriend. She had independence, she had a focus, she had clarity, she had things that she was already doing as an individual. And even over time, as we got together, obviously we grew together over the years. I'm not saying we were totally complete, obviously, from the very beginning. This is 35 years of growing together. So when I seen that, I knew this is somebody that I just knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with.
So what would you say was confirmation? Was it, because I hear people say that, oh, I just knew. What does that knowing feel like or sound like?
Peace.
Everybody put peace in the chat.
I
Peace.
I didn't have an angst. I didn't have a second thought. I didn't have discontentment. I didn't have those things that make you doubt. Is this the person? If you're still looking, go look. If you're still questioning, don't look for more answers. You haven't asked the right questions yet. So I had peace about it. I knew. It's so funny that even on our wedding, the day before our wedding, I just knew we were getting married. And Renee came.
He never even proposed.
She came at me and she said, "You know what? You never asked me to marry you. You just kind of already told me we were getting married." Well, we had been dating 3 years and we had talked about everything under the sun, and I thought we agreed upon it already. I thought she was committed already. Well, she was committed because
I got on the plane and went there.
we had all, you know what? We had joined our lives together before we even got engaged. She had access to everything that was mine at the time.
I was
my bank
managing
account,
his money.
I didn't have nothing to hide. My bank account, she knew those things. She could drive my car. She knew all the things. So I was already an open book. So when it came time for us to get married, she asked me, "You know what? You didn't even ask me to marry you." I said, "You know what? Okay."
And he got down on his knee.
You know what?
The day before, we went and bought the ring and everything. And I was like, wait a minute. You didn't ask me to marry you. And so he got down on his knee in an Air Force dorm room in the closet and got on the knee and asked me to marry him. And I said, okay, yeah, I'll marry you.
That's crazy. We didn't have nothing, y'all. I mean, I was in a dorm. So I knew she was good.